vinyl community. I'm going to do this video with my mouth just outside of the range of the camera so that the audio being out of line doesn't affect it so badly, and I'll spend as much time as I can behind the albums. This is my Game Enders. This is the albums that I have chosen that have a perfect side on them, in my opinion. Some of these albums you guys are going to shake your heads at and say that they're not perfect albums, they're not even good albums, but for my taste and for my picks, which there can be nothing else unless you just go with polls. You got to pick what you love and go and stick with your guns, and that's what I'm going to do. This one might cause some issues, but I have loved this album since it came out. This guy has done perhaps a better album before it and perhaps a better album after it, but this is my favorite. And this is Boz Scaggs. And it is Down To Then Left. And it is one of my favorite albums. Now this is definitely a certain kind of music. You know, you could say that it's pop, you could say that it's, you know, kind of a shuffle jazz, or you know, anyway, I'm going with Then She Walked Away, Give Me the Goods, 1993, Tomorrow Never Came, Tomorrow Never Came reprise. Boz Scaggs is a genius in his own way. It may not be your cup of tea, but he is purely a genius. And this album is one of my very favorite. My buddy Gary in Richardson, Texas, went to high school in South Dallas, the Grove. At that school they had an after-school band, and it was Gary, it was Stevie and Johnny Ray Vaughan, and it was two of the guys from ZZ Top. And if I had a specific Stevie Ray album, it would be in this group of Game Enders, Perfect Sides. But I don't have Double Trouble, and so it's not here. I've got it on CD. I just don't have it on vinyl. And Boz Scaggs was also a member of that after-school band. Gary said that Johnny Ray didn't really work very hard at it. Stevie Ray worked his butt off, and the two ZZ Top guys were just incredibly talented. And that Boz Scaggs kind of hung back to one side because it wasn't really his kind of music. But man, what an after-school band that was. So we got Boz Scaggs here, and this is an excellent album, Down To Then Left. A lot of jazz albums in my collection. This is Red Clay by Freddie Hubbard, and I would always recommend this album. I'm going with the side with Delphi on it. This, once again, this may not be your cup of tea. Red Clay and Delphi are on the same side. The players are Freddie Hubbard trumpet, Herbie Hancock piano, bass Ron Carter, drums Lenny White, saxophone Joe Henderson, and this was recorded in '70, and this is a CTI album. Anybody that knows anything about jazz knows that they did a lot of excellent jazz albums. They always had real striking covers, and this one is no different from the rest. Excellent jazz. A little bit, maybe even highbrowish, but excellent jazz. Alright, moving right along because there's a lot of these. This album had a $20,000 budget set aside for its making. So the artist would make whatever was left over from the actual recording. The actual recording took 7 days and cost a little bit over $7,000. So this artist walked away with 13 grand. Way back when, and that's quite a while ago, and he was dead broke when he made this album. He was sleeping on people's couches. I'm not sure what caused his financial situation, but this is James Taylor, Sweet Baby James. And it is one of my favorite albums of all time. It was recorded in a hurry on a shoestring. It made the artist a lot of money, but what an album. And I'm going with, let's go with Fire and Rain, Blossom, Anywhere Like Heaven, Oh Baby, Don't You Lose, Your Lip on Me, Sweet for 20 grand. And what an album. What an album. Anybody that doesn't have this collection in their collection needs to have this in their collection. Sweet Baby James. This next album, you know, you might say it's a little too top 40 for the place that it's going. Here's a picture of the group in the gatefold, and many of you may recognize it already as Bad Company. And I'm going to go with Can't Get Enough, Rock Steady, Ready for Your Love, Don't Let Me Down. I don't know what to tell you much about this album other than it's cram-packed with hits, and that it is an excellent rock and roll album. And it definitely is a perfect side for me. This one may turn some heads, but it is Second Winter from Johnny Winter. My copy is not in great shape, so I'm having to hold it pretty tight. This album has the special distinction of having an obviously perfect side, in the sense that they only recorded 3 sides, and it has a pure blank side with no nothing on the back side. And I'm going to have to go with, let's see, this is the, side with Slippin' and Slidin', Miss Ann, Johnny B. Good, and Highway 61 Revisited. I think I like this version of Highway 61 Revisited better than I do Bob's version. Anyway, I highly recommend this album. It is a white man playing the blues, and he does a hell of a job at it. But the personnel on this album are Johnny Winter, vocal, guitar, mandolin, Edgar Winter, piano, organ, harpsichord, and alto sax, Uncle John Turner on percussion, and Tommy Shannon on bass. And to me, it's a perfect side. Ouch! Get out from under me. Moving on along, War, All Day Music. And I'm going to go with Nappy Head, Slipping into Darkness, and Baby Brother. Songs that just still ring in my mind. Personnel: Howard Scott, guitar percussion; B.B. Dickerson, bass percussion; Lonnie Jordan, organ, piano, percussion, and vocals; Harold Brown, drums, percussion, and vocals; Papa D. Allen, conga, bongos, percussion, and vocals; Charles Miller, flute, alto, tenor, and baritone saxon, percussion, and vocals; Lee Oscar, harmonica, percussions, and vocals. And this is a United Artists. Excellent album. Excellent, excellent, excellent album. Here's one that you might kind of dun me for my personal choices, but I love it nonetheless. Jim Croce, I Got a Name. I'm going to go with, I'll have to say I Love You in a Song, Salon and Saloon, Thursday, Top Hat Bar and Grill, and Recently. Now, Working at the Car Wash Blues in 5 short minutes, and I Got a Name are great too, but that is a perfect album side for me. And as most of you will know, John Croce died right around the time this came out, and really didn't get to enjoy the fame that he earned in '73. Great album, great artist. Here's one a little bit off the beaten track. Tom Waits, Starfish Trombone. This album just slew me when it came out. I'm going to go with Underground, Shore Leave, Dave the Butcher, Johnsburg, Illinois, 16 Shells from a 30-06, Town with No Cheer, In the Neighborhood. Now Frank's Wild Years, Swordfish Trombone, Trouble's Braids, Rainbirds are excellent songs on the other side. And this might be one of the few albums I can just play through over and over again. Just incredible work by a adventurous, if nothing else, artist. Next up, Chicago Transit Authority. Their first. Of course, they had to change their name to Chicago not long after this because the Chicago Transit Authority sued them for using the name that they weren't allowed to use. This band, there's a Russian group that's doing some phenomenal re-recordings of these songs. I'm going to go with Introduction. Does anybody really know what time it is? And Beginning. Several of the other sides could probably stand as well. You may not like the jazz kind of sounding, horn kind of sounding music that this is, but for me it's phenomenal music. And this came out at a time when I was listening to a lot of rock and roll and a lot of heavier stuff. Nevertheless, this is an excellent album. And a perfect side to me. Next up, Get Up With It, Miles Davis. And the back side's almost the same. I'm going to go with Let's go with side 4. Red China Blues, Mattoon, Billy Preston. Incredible players on this. This album was Miles's tribute to Duke, for Duke. Miles is a interesting jazz artist. He's done a lot of up and down stuff. He's done a lot of phenomenal stuff. This I consider in the phenomenal vein. What perfect album side could be without this man? Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland. It took me a long, long time to recognize what Jimi Hendrix was doing and then start to love him. I'm going to go with, let's say Still Raining, Still Dreaming, House Burning Down, All Along the Watchtower, and Voodoo Child's Slight Return, and The Gods Made Love. Have you ever been to Electric Ladyland? Crosstown Traffic, Voodoo Child would work just as well. This guy doesn't need me talking about what he means to music, what he means to my generation, what he means to every generation. Here's a little bit, one that's probably going to raise some eyebrows. Bachman Turner Overdrive, Give Me Your Money Please, Hold Back the Water, Blue Collar, Little Gandy Dancer. Excellent album. Rock and roll through and through. Maybe a little bit of popish feel to it. Maybe a little bit of simplicity to it. I can't argue this album's place as a perfect album side. I'm showing some of my age here. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Deja Vu. My battery's getting low, I better stop. I'm going to go with Carry On, Teach Your Children, Almost Cut My Hair, Helpless, and Woodstock. I don't know of a much better album side that you could put on and listen to. Classic rock and roll from the word go to the word finish. Okay, I'm going to restart it and put a new battery in. Okay, this album is Pink Floyd Metal. This may not be one of their most popular albums. It may not even be an album that best showcases the kind of music that they could make. But it is my favorite Pink Floyd album. One of These Days, A Pillow of Winds, Fearless, Saint-Tropez, Seamus. Or you could go with side 2, which just has Echoes on it. And Echoes is an incredible song. Not much more I can say about Pink Floyd Metal or Pink Floyd. They're just incredible. Definitely a perfect album side. Here's another perfect album side. The Beatles, the White Album. I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with side 2. Martha, My Dear, I'm So Tired, Blackbird, Piggies, Rocky Raccoon, Don't Pass Me By, Why Don't We Do It in the Road, I Will, and Julia. You could just as easily go with side one, Back in the USSR, Dear Prudence, Glass Onion, Obladi Oblada, Wild Honey Pie, The Continuing Story of Bungalow Bill, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Happiness is a Warm Gun. Maybe I ought to go with side one. It's obviously better. I think it's a perfect album, and very much a perfect album side. Here's one that'll probably earn me some grief. Elton John, Friends. This album was panned when it came out. Nobody really liked it. It didn't sell a lot of copies. It's the soundtrack for a movie, but none of the songs were released anywhere else. I'm going to go with Friends, Honey Roll, Variation on Friends, Theme, The First Kiss, Seasons, Variation on Michael's song. The composer, Paul Buckmaster, has an integral part of this album. While it's not exactly all Elton John's work, Friends is one of my favorite songs ever. I think it's the best song Elton John ever did in his life. He may not have invested as much effort into it as he did the other songs that he's known for and famous for, but it is by far and away my favorite song of Elton John. Another CTI album, which is Hubert Laws, In the Beginning. Another striking CTI cover. A picture of the man himself on the inner side. And I'm going to go with side 2, Gymnopedia, Come Ye Disconsolate, and Arrogant. Just incredible flautist. He was at the height of his ability. He was at the prime of his musical career. It's kind of a different direction for him, but Hubert Laws is one of the strongest flute players that I know of, much less jazz flute players. And I would strongly recommend this album to people that don't know jazz very well and want to try to get into it. The players are Hubert Laws on flute, bass Ron Carter, Ron Carter, drums Steve Gadd, percussion Airto and Dave Friedman, guitar Gene Bertocini, keyboards Carrie Fisher, Roger Grant, Bob James, Richard T., tenor saxophone Ronnie Laws, his brother, violin David Nadine, viola Emmanuel Vardy, cello George Greasy. What an incredible piece of music this album is. One of my favorite all-time albums, and I'm kind of cheating here because I've used this album before, but I can't help it. It's the Allman Brothers, Eat a Peach, and I am going to go with, could go with Mountain Jam, but I'm going to go with Ain't Wasting Time No More, as Bears in Minor, and Melissa. Melissa is just an incredible showcase for the talent that was Duane Allman and the talent that was the Allman Brothers. And You know, most of them aren't around. Dickie Betts, Dwayne Allman, they're all gone. They're all gone, they're all gone. Incredible. Incredible Warner Brothers production for 72. And there's a reason why it's called Eat a Peach. One of my favorite all-time albums. Derek and the Dominoes, Layla, and other assorted love songs. I don't know how you get much better than Little Wing, It's Too Late, and Layla, but Bell Bottom Blues might sway you to a different side of the record. Nice gatefold with lots of old pictures of the players. Derek and the Dominoes. Also, just incredible musician, incredible album. Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. You know, some might get me from being too top 40 here, but I don't know how you do much better than Day of the Eagle, Bridge of Sighs, In This Place, The Fool and Me. Just remarkable. Chrysalis, Bridge of Sighs. What an incredible piece of music. This one might get me some grief. Return to Forever, Romantic Warrior. This was not one of their biggest selling albums by a long shot. I love Return to Forever, Chick Corea, Stanley Clarke, Lenny White, and Al Di Meola. Al Di Meola may be one of the better guitarists that ever played jazz rock fusion. And I'm going to go with Medieval Overture, Sorceress, and The Romantic Warrior. It's just an incredible tour de force album side. Maybe not what everyone else likes. I love it. Doesn't get much better than that. Little Feat, Time Loves a Hero. A lot of people didn't like the fact that they got away from the Dixie Chicken Old George sound, and they went into a jazzier sound. But Time Loves a Hero, High Roller, New Delhi Freight Train, Old Folks Boogie, and Red Streamliner. I don't know that you could put a better selection of songs together on one incredibly smooth, tight sounding, jazzy, funkish, just all the skills of the people in the band that weren't Old George coming to the forefront. Time Loves a Hero. Last but not least, Tres Hombres, ZZ Top. Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, Master of Sparks, Hot Blue and Righteous. I don't know how you get a better rock and roll album than that. And a lot of these are from the early 70s, and I guess that's when I was in my prime of listening to music. I just don't know that you get much better than this album from ZZ Top in the fine Texas tradition. Master of Sparks is about a metal cage made of rebar that is big enough to hold a guy inside of it. They get going 60 miles an hour down the highway and kick him out of the bed of the truck, and that's how you become a Master of Sparks. And yes, you definitely will be. Well, there you have it. My Game Enders Perfect Side Records for my collection without being previously recorded or previously used by me, except for the Allman Brothers. And I hope you have as much fun trying to do this as I had. I had to dig through my entire album collection looking for these records. There would be many other records on this list, except I didn't have them in vinyl, and you've got to have the vinyl copy. Thank you so much, vinyl community, for the joy you have given me, and I hope I've given just a little bit of it back to you.